Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. We're gonna now call our first meeting of the month to order. We're gonna ask our road manager, Cornelius Baker, to lead us in the prayer, and Mr. Will Sly to lead us in the pledge. And if you will, I ask you to put your phone on vibrate or turn them off.
About here, pray. Heavenly Father, we come once again. Thank you for another day. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for waking us this morning. That's here today. Heavenly Father, let the supervisor make the sin according to your will, not their will. Heavenly Father, just bless this country. Bless the war that's going on in the country. Seize the war. Lord, have mercy on each and every one around here. Bless those on the way that have not made it. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for this day. In your name, I do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ronnie Lott, you up?
Yes, sir,
Chancellor
Mr. President.
Clerk.
You should have before you the August 15th, 2022 board minutes. I would ask if there are no changes, the board please approve said minutes.
Second.
Motion by Gerald, second by Carl. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Concerned citizen.
All
Greg,
right,
we got in?
we have a few. The first is, and I apologize in advance if I mess up your names, it's going to be Miss Lafayette Wales, I believe?
Lafayette Wills.
Lafayette Williams?
Lafayette, okay.
He's with the,
No,
he's
with the-
City of Canton.
City of
City
Canton,
yeah.
Mr. I messed that all the way up then. All right. Next up will be Essie Hollins.
What was the name again?
Essie Hollins.
Miss Hollins? All right, Miss Hollins. Anyone with you? All right, let's move to the next one while she coming back.
Dr. Sheila Spann.
Miss Sheila Spann. All right, move on to the next one.
I saw her outside. I don't know. I don't know if they can hear us outside.
I think that camera's working outside.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else?
There is one more, Jamarco Robinson.
DeMarco Robinson.
He's with the city as well,
He's
sorry.
with-
all right,
So
with
there's
the city.
two from the city. So we're waiting on Dr. Spann. And I know she was out there.
All right. We gonna keep moving right on through our list. They come in, we'll come back to them.
Yeah.
He's ready, Mr.
That's the
President.
young man that's with her.
Who is this?
He's got her.
Okay, come right over there to the mic so we can hear.
I came to, I brought her, but my mom's supposed to be. I came to my mom's supposed to talk. I came to bring her in.
Okay, your mom not here?
Yeah, she right outside.
Okay, she need to come in to the mic.
Yes, sir, I go. She talked to somebody.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Where's Dr. Spann?
we gonna, say what now?
Well, Dr. Spann, where is she?
I don't know, Dr. Spann.
We can move
All right,
to
we're
the
gonna move
city
to our public hearing on our budget. Do I get a motion? Is that a second?
I'll
To go into public hearing?
Second.
That a second? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, now we're in the public hearing. What's going on, Greg?
All right, supervisors, before you, you have a copy of a proposed tax levy and proposed budget. The levy is the same as last year, nothing has changed there. And the budget is what you see before you. It's based on the hearings we had earlier, and it seems to be what everyone at least is okay with. I believe there was a collection of compromises that were made to where not everybody is thrilled, but nobody's miserable, and that's kind of the idea. So if there aren't any questions or comments.
Greg, if you would, this, on the budget, just a little, just maybe go over the tax millage, what it is.
The total millage for this year is going to be 38.13, which is what it has been for quite a while. I know it was that way at least 5 years ago. As far as general fund millage, what you are looking at is 14.94. And then you've got kind of your supplementary millage there. Your reappraisal trust is a mill, your library is 1.07, and your road and bridge is 3.56. Your total revenues this year are going to be about $149 million, which includes 40-ish in state and federal funds. Those state and federal funds are primarily for road and bridge, with the exception of the $20 million in ARPA money. The ARPA money is $5 million towards roads, and the rest is allocated elsewhere. So 149, 40 of it is federal, or federal and state, because that does include state money for various construction projects.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, if there are any more comments, and not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move. Approve.
That's on item 2 and 3.
On 2 and 3.
All right, got a motion by Carl. There's second. Second by Sheila. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right, we have our budget set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg, for the work and all the people that help you there.
Mr. President.
Yes.
We need to close it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Move to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Carl and second by Trey.
Okay.
All in favor? All opposed? We just did a little backward, but we got the same results, Ronnie.
Yeah.
All right, have Dr. Span, anybody came in yet?
That would be Dr. Span.
You just called me, Mr. Griffin?
Yes. I forgive you, you tardy.
Well, I'm here this morning to brag, okay?
To brag or
Yes,
brag?
sir. I want to thank you.
Put that mic down a little
I
bit.
want to thank you, Mr. Griffin, for coming by my office.
Announce who you are.
Yeah.
Who I am?
Yeah, who you are and the gentleman right by.
My name is Dr. Sheila Span. I'm a pharmacist and I'm a diabetes educator. I have a business here called Diabetes Solution and Wellness Center, right here in Canton, Mississippi. And I came to y'all a couple of weeks ago for a donation to help Team Mississippi when we went to the games in San Diego. We was denied, but I want to thank the president, Mr. Griffin, for coming by and giving us a donation. Took out your time that came by my clinic and gave us this donation. I appreciate that. Now, when we went, how many of us went? Timothy?
30 of us went. My name is Timothy Lewis. I'm a 2014 heart transplant recipient.
Man, you look good.
I have an 18-year-old heart in my chest from a young man out of Austin, Texas, a Caucasian young boy who died, and his mother was so gracious to give me his heart to put inside my body to live. Well, Dr. Span is saying that we were able to go along with your donation, Mr. President, and others who have supported us throughout this state to go to San Diego, California, and represent the state of Mississippi, and against 35 other teams across the United States and one from Brazil. And we competed in all of the Olympic-style games. This was her first time going. She came back with a silver and 1 gold. I came back with 5 gold medals and 2 silver medals in my competition, and we had about 30 team members to go. And hoping next year that when we come before this board, that we'll be able to ask you all for your support again. We have young people, children who have been diagnosed with diseases, kidney disease, lung disease, heart disease, and they were out there competing as well from ages 5 to up to 82 out there competing in these games. And it's a special community that we're a part of now. And if you're not an organ donor, we will ask you to be an organ donor. because you save lives when you donate your organs and when the time for you to expire. Not only when I'm a recipient, but I'm an organ donor as well. And it's very important that our team go out and represent this state. We're now planning to go to Australia next year to represent the United States in the Transplant Games of America. And we thank you all.
Mr. Griffin, I'd like to present you this T-shirt and a pen.
All right.
A picture. It's gonna put on Facebook. And you're gonna be listed as one of the donators of our team. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
I didn't know this was coming, guys. But I sure appreciate it.
I appreciate you as a leader.
Paul, can we give the
Great day.
participants a hand for what they did?
Yeah. I was gonna stand right out here and let people see what a heart, person that receives a heart, what they can look like. That's man. You look amazing. I don't know how you feel, but you look amazing. Dude. Dude.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Doctor. Go ahead, Mike.
I think this was marvelous presentation. This whole agenda goes out to the public. I wouldn't want the public to think this board just wantonly rejected a request for a donation. On the legal advice, as you will recall, this came up and we recommended that you could not do it legally. A governmental body cannot donate to this kind of cause. It's a legal prohibition unless there's some sort of advertisement or some sort of publication that could prevent it, or the board would advertise its programs to the public. And there was nothing like that. So the board rejected it, not because we're hard-hearted, but because on the advice of counsel, I advise you couldn't. Individuals could have, like evidently what happened, but the board could not.
But
That was the reason that we didn't.
Let me say something, Counselor. On the back of our shirts, we have all of our sponsors. We advertise not only on the shirts, our team shirts, but we did advertisement on our website for the organizations and all of our publications. Hinds County gave us $2,000 for advertisement, and we were able to, go around what the legal part of it is, to make it legal in terms of the advertisement part of it. But we will do not only on our T-shirts, but our website. When we do interviews with the television station, we also mention our supporters' name by that way as well. So hopefully, if you all would give us your guideline, we'll work within that guideline.
Hey, thank you.
Thank
here.
you all. All right.
And I just want everybody out there that listening that that was my spare spending money. I don't have a fund over here to donate. So I sacrificed to donate that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Dr.
Mr.
Fair.
Griffin. Appreciate it.
All right, was there one more concerned citizen that we missed?
There
They
was.
left, Mr. President.
Oh, they left? All right. Well, we're gonna move down to our consent item then. Okay. Is anyone want to hold, pull, anything on the consent item?
Mr. President, I would like to, just for some explanation on item 28 and 29. Don't necessarily need to pull them, just for the explanation, and then we could probably approve it all at one time. If we get that, just to see what's,
Greg, are you looking at APAC?
My understanding well, let me do it this way. My understanding of those invoices is that they exceeded the amount on the purchase order. We issued the purchase order for X amount, and we received a bill for an amount greater than X, whatever X may have been in that case.
someone approve those ahead of time.
approve the purchase order, yes. For APAC, it would have been asphalt of some type, probably SC Type 2, if I had to guess, that they're the ones that generally provide us with that material.
You're rejecting them to not pay them.
Correct. That's what Ms. White has suggested, and she can come up here. Okay, yeah, she can probably
Yeah, I'm
explain
just
better
trying
than I
to figure out
can.
how we got there. Because I think maybe the last board meeting, we had another one kind of similar to this, or maybe 2 board meetings ago. And they're just kind of, I just see these 2 on here and just wondering how they got to where we are.
So, good morning. The road department received more asphalt than what the purchase order required. So the purchase order was a total of $32,500. So anything beyond that amount was not authorized on the purchase order, so therefore we cannot pay for that amount.
But I guess what I'm trying to get to then is who authorized it to go over, or how did it go over that amount?
Cornelius, can you assist us
I'm
with that?
assuming they was on a road and they,
I don't know, that's the reason I was asking.
Why they received more than they were?
the road they,
Without getting proper,
Yeah.
notice, I guess, or approval.
Okay.
What's going on with that is that when we put in purchase orders for asphalt, we gonna put them out. They normally keep up with amount of asphalt we supposed to get a day. When we tally up our total, what we get, and what they do, they don't keep regular. They just keep pouring in our trucks. When we go there, their load is stealing us saying, "Hey, y'all purchase order is over with." They're yet low. It's on their end, not our end.
Okay, so they keep up with it, so now
They
we
keep
got
up with it.
rejected, and then how did they get paid?
that's a mic question.
All right, well, there is a process where they can get paid. And we started with that process by the CFO recommending that you reject the invoice. Then what I would like you to authorize me to do is there are 2 APAC invoices that are similar, where we actually received the materials, but we could not pay because of some practical error. So once you've rejected the invoice, what I'd like you to authorize me to do is combine both invoices, this one that you're rejecting today and the one you rejected earlier, both are APAC invoices, and then I'll go to the circuit court and try to get the attention of a circuit judge, and I'll explain the situation to the judge. And with the approval and the cooperation of APAC, I present the judge an agreed order where the judge will direct us to pay those invoices. And we've done this before. There's a statutory process. It's not hard to do. If you give me authority to do it, we can do it in about a week, I believe, assuming we can get the judge's attention, which we can do. And then we will present to you the judge's order. I'll present it to you, and you will acknowledge it, give it to our CFO, and she'll pay it.
All right, and you mentioned 2 things, because I want to do that as well. You mentioned 2 invoices from APAC. I don't see but one on here from APAC.
So one was previously rejected, I believe, probably back in November. The same situation happened.
November of last year.
Yes, sir, when they're exceeded.
We hadn't paid that invoice yet.
No, sir.
And paid the
And then I see
overage.
other one, invoice 29, so we would need to do that one the same way. To give you authority for invoice 28 and 29, plus the one back in November then.
I'm more familiar with 28 than I am 29. What is 29?
What?
Got it, but we just need to get it paid.
Okay.
You know, it's really where I'm headed with.
Okay, so I'm not authorized, I'm not supposed to pay anything that exceeds the purchase order without going through this whole process. And with
Yes.
the issue with the Scott equipment, the piece of machinery was there at their plant, they had a PO, they worked on it there. It was not enough to fulfill it, to complete it. They were not given it the authorization to continue on, but they did. And there was no PO issue for further work on that. They contacted Michael Steele a couple of times. They went back and forth with that. They did not have a purchase order to continue working on that.
All right, so it's similar the same way?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. President, I got it. Thank you. I'm going to approve it. I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda, except item 28 29, but I want to handle those separately for approval.
All right, got a motion by Gerald. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Carl. All in favor? All opposed?
And I'd
Motion
like to
carried.
come back and approve, ask for a motion to approve item 28 and 29, but also with the understanding given our attorney, Mike Espy, the authority to go and work, and present this in front of the judges to bring back to the board for approval for payment.
I'll second that motion.
Second, motion by Gerald, second by Carl. Any other discussion? Just to add to this, you all try to make all effort possible not to let this happen, but we're not reinventing the wheel. We've been doing this for years. So, let's try to not have to do it though. All in favor?
Hey, Mr. President, I would like to include the invoice back in November that I just heard. I want to make sure that's in the motion as well,
Yeah,
to put that one in front of the judge as
I
well.
assumed it was.
Yeah,
That's why I second,
I didn't mention it, but I did now, so.
yeah. That's what I was seconding.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carry. All right. Let's move right along.
Okay.
Supervisor, only name that I see down here is
It
yours truly.
Look like you.
All right. It is the approved broadband Comcast between Madison County and Comcast. Is anyone here? There you from Comcast. Before we go any further, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the contract with Comcast for
Okay.
broadband
Yeah.
in Northeast Madison County.
I'm gonna second that motion with just maybe a little bit further discussion from someone, just kind of explain a little bit.
Definitely gonna be some more discussion.
Okay, I'm gonna second it.
All right. All right, we got a motion by myself, second by Gerald. Now discussion. Mike, you got any? Greg, you want to bring out the map?
I certainly will. We've got a Comcast representative here.
Yes.
We only put this.
Put it up and let it face. Or you can set it right in front of me,
Right in front of you, okay.
cause I got it memorized.
Well, it looks like that.
All right, Comcat man, come on. And Mike, we're gonna have you after him.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ronnie Colvin, C-O-L-V-I-N. I'm a Senior Director of External Affairs for Comcast. And just want to start by saying we're very excited to be able to partner with Madison County on this project. It is as you can see on the map, it's a very large project. What you see before you, kind of north, east, and west of the city of Canton, represents about almost 500 miles of construction that we're going to do. About 3,175 people that don't have access to broadband today. Once we get finished with this project, we'll have access to gigabit speed internet, and I think when you look at it from a road mile perspective, it's over 300 road miles that we'll be operating in. The technology we're going to be using it's a fiber to the home technology. It'll be what we call EPON technology. Again, this will be one of the kind of a cutting edge for us here in the state of Mississippi. This will be the first project where we've used this type technology, and we think most of the construction, we'll have to do a lot of construction, obviously, for almost 500 miles. Most of it will be aerial, connecting to the power poles that are there today. And we've got the project. We will activate customers as we get construction complete. We think it, for that amount of construction, we've got 3 years set aside. We hope we get through it a lot quicker than that. And again, a lot of that just, we've got the first 8 months of the project, we'll be doing all the design work, doing all the walkout, and getting all our construction maps put together. And then from there, we'll be ordering materials well in advance. And so, as long as labor and materials keep flowing like they're flowing today for us, we should, the project should move, quite well. So I'm here. If you've got any questions, happy to answer. It was certainly a pleasure working with Mr. Espy and again, all members, Supervisor Griffin, appreciate your leadership here too, and Supervisor Steen as well. So again, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Ronnie, you're talking about the timeline. You're looking at a year and a half to 2 years for this to be completed.
There's 3 years, Supervisor Steen, there's 3 years in the contract.
Right.
The first 7 to 8 months will be really just boots on the ground, where we go out and we do all of the mapping, and then as part of that, then we'll be able to order the materials. So, we're going to break the project, since it's so big, into 2 phases. And, with phase 1 certainly will be, in probably in the year and a half range. And then hopefully the phase 2 will, once we kind of get into a good rhythm, a good cadence, that it goes quickly.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna let our attorney speak for a second before I give my little comments.
All right, thank you. Well, good morning again.
Morning.
This is a really good day for Madison County and for District 5. We approved our budget this morning, and most observers could understand that Madison County, relative to other counties in Mississippi, it's pretty well off. We've got growing suburbs with growing residential areas, growing commerce, Amazon, Nissan, and so we're doing well. However, there are pockets of poverty in this county where people don't have internet. They go to school and they got a digital device. When they go home, they can't operate it because there's no internet in the home. And most of these individuals live in District 5, northeast Madison County. And that's wrong. And if this county has an ability to upgrade those areas to make this entire county more equal in terms of receipt of resources, we should do it. And so the entire board of directors, the entire board of supervisors, the public should understand this project has taken about a year and a half to get us to this point. And the first thing that this board authorized was that an engineering company came in, Wagner Engineering, came in and did a survey of the underserved areas. And so we had a good idea of how many individuals, how many households were not being served by broadband. And you've heard it's about 3,175. And so then we had to get a really good idea of what it would cost to bring a fiber optic broadband to those homes. And we got varying amounts. But we settled on the amount of around $20 million to bring fiber optic connection to the house. Then after we got the survey, we got the maps, and we determined the cost. We did an RFP for reputable ISPs, internet service providers, because in Mississippi, the state law is such that a county is prohibited from providing broadband as a government.
Say that again, Mike. Say that again.
Unlike many, many other states and counties in this state, and states in this nation, Madison County is not legally eligible to be a manager of broadband services. We're prohibited from doing that by state law. And state law recommends and directs broadband is only provided by an ISP, Internet Service Provider. So, and we're not one, we can't be. So we had to resort to commercial services, and we did a request for RFP to all interested service providers. And we really got 4 requests. And so, under the leadership of Mr. Griffin, and Mr. Steen was on that committee, as well as the administrator and some of the others of us, we had a committee, and we met regularly to interview these 4 candidates for the ISP. And we settled on Comcast because they are reputable, not that the others aren't, but they're nationally well known. This whole thing is going to cost about $20 million. They said they could do it for $19 million, which was music to our ears. Comcast's proposal told us that they would bear some of the brunt of that cost, about $5 million. So they're coming to the table with $5 million, bringing to Madison County $5 million of the proposed $19 million. So it leaves about $14 million. This county received about $20 million in ARPA money from the Biden administration, federal government. And this county, knowing that we want to do some good for Northeast Madison County, voted some months ago to pledge $10 million in ARPA money to supplement what Comcast is going to bring. Now, so we're in the neighborhood of $19 million there. What we hope to do, now that the board has approved the Comcast contract, is to work with Comcast to approach the United States Department of Agriculture, Department of Rural Utilities Service, and they have a program called Reconnect, where the federal government will, it's a competitive program, but the federal government will finance broadband connection exercises up to $25 million. So now that we have our contract, now that we have our vendor, we will associate with our vendor, and our vendor will lead the drive to file an application as soon as possible with the Reconnect program before the Rural Utility Service in Washington. We have helped them along because our delegation went to Washington, again under the leadership of Mr. Griffin. We met with the RUS. They are certainly aware that this is coming. They've looked at the map, and I can't stand here and guarantee what the federal government will do, but I can guarantee that they know about it, and the ones who saw it are favorable to it. So I believe that we will qualify for this, I believe, and I believe that when the grants are made, that we'll be a recipient, I hope, under the diligence of Comcast, and so we likely won't even need the $10 million that we pledged. But we cannot unpledge it until we receive guarantee of federal assistance. So we have a good team going forward. We have the Madison County Broadband team. We have the Comcast national vendor, and we have a plan, and we're ready to go. If for some reason that we failed in the federal government, we know that we also have the state broadband funds, which are ample. And Comcast also assured us that they're going to, on our behalf, apply for that as well. So I feel pretty good that this $19 million program will be funded. And hopefully not using any county money. Under our contract, Comcast understands that their $5 million is set. And we're going to have that, and there'll be the first tranche of money submitted to match whatever broadband money we get from the federal government. And so once that's set, once the Reconnect program money is received, we are hoping that we could save $10 million. So we have a project, we have a goal, we have a team, we have a vendor, and now we have an approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Just want to add just a few comments. I see we got a whole lot of Canton people here. This target area here, this footprint, gonna cover some Canton Public Schools and Madison County Schools. When COVID hit, I got phone calls after phone calls about teachers trying to teach from home, business people trying to work from home, students trying to learn from home. And then, after looking into it, found out if there was money for it, Madison County could not run or operate any type internet service. So that is kind of what took us 2 years to get to today because of all the laws. First, I want to just thank the federal government for allowing this money to come down. And I want to thank my board for working with me to try to help the taxpayers in Northeast Madison County where there's slim to none internet service. This is truly gonna be the best and enjoyable vote that I have voted on in Madison County, and I've been here 20+ years. It might not help me a whole lot, but I hope the Lord let me live a few more years. But it's gonna set the next generation and the generation after. The people that wanna move back home and build homes, they're gonna be able to move back home and get internet. You know, millennials don't wanna go nowhere where they can't hook up everything in their house. Hook up everything in their house. So after we get all this in, we're gonna be able to do that. On top of children being able to learn, teachers being able to teach, business people being able to work, it gonna provide economic development. That was the last thought on my mind. But I'm gonna be glad to get that. We need economic development up there. So I'm gonna stand right here and I'm gonna carry this vote. That was a motion made by Gerald, or did you second? I made it.
You made
Gerald
it.
seconded
You made
it.
it.
And all in favor of the motion? Aye. All opposed? 5-0 vote to put internet service in Northeast Madison County. I do. Thank you, everyone.
Great.
I just want to say that this is the right thing to do because all of our kids need to have an equal playing field. Can you hear me? All of our kids need to have an equal playing field, and this is going to help the north part of the county that didn't have all of the bells and whistles that maybe some of us in the South Madison County have. So I'm excited about it.
All right. Since we got broadband all lit up, we gonna move to Watershed Committee.
Okay. Let me discuss the Watershed Committee. Is a committee that we formed and have not met yet because of some of the hoops that we've been jumping through for the federal government, for the money that's been set aside that we would be drawn against as we pay for our engineering studies and down all the way down to doing some of the actual work to reduce the amount of water that's heading into Canton. And I think that's basically what the Watershed Project is going to be all about, is reducing the water coming in. I'm going to ask our attorney to give a brief view of what we have been doing in the last month or 2 months or so with NRCS.
Under the leadership of Mr. Banks, thank you, Mr. Banks, we formed this whole board again, began an effort 2 years ago, or at least, to determine how we could mitigate flooding in Canton. I remember representatives from Alderman and Mayor of Canton came at least 2 years ago and talked about flooding in Canton. And this board decided to do its due diligence. So the board hired an engineering firm, Wagner Engineering, to come up with the study to give us an understanding, those of us who are non-engineers, to determine where the water was coming from that floods Canton. And we know there are ditches in Canton that need to be cleaned, but a lot of the water flooding Canton comes from Madison, Ridgeland, because those areas are built up and that water runs upstream. The water runs north, trying to get to the Big Black River. And it takes a 90-degree bend in Canton. So all that water sloshes over on the homes of Canton. And we saw it clearly with the engineering study, which was funded by this Board of Supervisors. All right, so now we have an understanding where the water's coming from, and then we got to understand what it would cost to mitigate that problem. It's a lot of money. And again, we applaud the current administration. The Infrastructure Act has money in it for watershed remedies. There's an agency called NRCS, Natural Resources and Conservation Service, with programs to help us. So this board applied for funding to the NRCS, and it's coincidental but providential that the head of NRCS is a gentleman from Mississippi. The Undersecretary of Agriculture over Environment and Conservation is a Mississippian. He's an African-American gentleman. He has land in Northeast Madison County. He belongs to a church in Jackson. So when you have to go, you don't have to explain so much because they're from here, they already know, and we know them. So we went up there and we were able to achieve, I think, a pretty good result. This board was able to achieve, again, in a competitive environment, $23.550 million in a project that they call the Upper Bear Creek Project. Upper Bear Creek is the creek that joins Little Bear Creek, and the confluence of the waters join, move north, and floods Canton. All right, so we were able to get an award, it's public, of $23,550 to build some sort of water mitigation structure somewhere. All right, so now, once we received the award, we had other work to do. So as Mr. Banks said, we've been going through hoops. When you work the federal government, I know it floods in Canton, and it still flows in Canton, and everybody wants the work to be done yesterday, and that's understandable. But when you get money from the federal government, you have to comply with every rule that they have. The state NRCS works with the federal NRCS, works with engineers, and we have to be a part of all of that. So recently, we found out that even though we've been awarded the money, there was a study called PIFRA, P-F-R-A, another acronym. But basically, PIFRA is a study to determine whether the project is viable. Well, we already know it's viable. We gave you the study that we funded, and you funded it, so we know it's viable. But, you know, in the federal government, sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So recently, we were able to lobby. The board voted to allow some of us to go up to Tunica to the CBC event, and we went up there, and some of us had a meeting with the national director of NRCS, the undersecretary of Environment and Conservation, the technical advisor, the state director, all in one meeting. And that PIFRA study was waived on the spot. But just because it's waived on the spot doesn't mean that the paperwork doesn't have to be done. So the state director has to recommend to the federal director, and they have to meet and approve the PIFRA waiver, which has been done. I spoke to them last week, that's been done. So that saves us 6 months. And so now I've been informed that we're now in the phase of engineering and, planning and design. So we're now in the stage of planning and design, where we, when I say we, I mean this board, Soil and Water Conservation, NRCS will get together and determine where the mitigation structure will be placed. I have no idea. But I know it's got to be something that stops flooding from Canton. And it's got to be placed in the right place, and there's got to be an environmental study. And you know that takes time. That's going to take a year. So we're in it. We're in the midst of it, and I recommend that the committee, Mr. Banks, that you have set up, it's now the time to begin to meet.
Exactly.
Because now we can offer impact to that, and so we received the money's been obligated. I know in the recent news, recently on TV, I sent the video of the Channel 3 TV clip of flooding in Canton. I sent it to NRCS. I said, guys, this is happening right now in real time. And the gentleman I sent it to his bosses, and we were able to speed it up. So it's too slow, but in order for us to qualify for this money and be in accord with compliance and not do something wrong where we have to return the money, we have to do it their way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, before you step down, there's one other item we were talking about that's aside from the watershed study.
Yeah.
And that was the getting some federal dollars or federal assistance in cleaning out the creosote ditch.
In the same meeting, in Tunica, in the same meeting, we spoke about cleaning out Baxter Creek, which is that the name of it? There's a big creek that everybody says is the cause of, and people say there's couches in the ditch and trees in the ditch and so forth and so on. And we spoke about that. And I received assurance from a very responsible person in RCS that they were looking into it and that they would help come and clean out the ditch.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you. I got verbal assurance that they would come and help clean out the ditch. And there's a program that either they will be included as part of our program, and our program has a $25 million ceiling. To clean out that ditch, it's several millions of dollars. So that's going to be beyond the cap of the project that we're under. But there's another program called Emergency Watershed Remedy, which the state NRCS has to apply for to the federal. The federal approves it and it can be done. And the person I talked with is in the state. So the state NRCS said they would help clean out the ditch. They have to ask for the money. Canton could be the sponsor, or we could be the sponsor. And I believe that we'll get a good result.
Good. That'll work. Okay. And basically, ladies and gentlemen, we intend to fight this cause of stopping the flooding in Canton for a long time to come. Now, anything that we do, we're going to have to also do it with some idea on how we're going to maintain it. Because when we build the structure to stop the water from just rushing to Canton on the Bear Creek, that structure has got to be maintained, similar to Pearl River Valley Authority has to maintain the reservoir. It's no different. It's going to have to be maintained daily, annually, making sure that it just doesn't just grow and grow up. I remember back in the 70s, because I'm old enough to remember that, when I think the creosote ditch, when they put the riffraff in, and they came and actually it helped. It did reduce some flooding, and with the work they did. before the last floods, I was riding by and I couldn't see the riffraff for all the bushes and trees that were inside the ditch. So we're gonna have to work toward a regular maintenance program of all of the flood control mechanisms that we put together. And I think we're gonna put together quite a few flood control mechanisms. Now, I have a few, I need to add one other person I want to add to that committee. And then I know we have several here, so we can set the meeting up for that committee, the watershed committee. Now, the person I want to add is going to be one of the aldermen, Lafayette Wells. Okay, I need to add him to the committee because he's actually lives in an area that I think everybody I got on the committee now is pretty much from District 4, and Lafayette would represent the people on the north and northeastern part of town, which would be in District 5. Everybody should have some input on what we're trying to do and how it's going to get done. So I needed to have him to add to that committee. That is a motion.
I would second that motion, but wish you would amend your motion to add me to that committee also, because when you talking about Bashard Creek, you talking about into District 5 now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to be on there with Mr. Lafayette Wells so we can keep things moving and know what's going on, so we can speak on one language and not telling folks 5 and 6 different things. What come out of this committee need to be what the committee is saying, not what we want, what we would like for people to know, but the right thing. And y'all probably didn't hear Attorney Espy saying that it probably gonna take a year to do, what was the environment you said? A year to do that. And we have no way to push it faster. This is federal government regulation. So houses gonna get flooded again before then. But we can't go any faster. Can't go any faster. So
I agree with that addition. That way I can have people call you instead of me anyway.
As long as they live in District 5. As long as they live in District 5, they live in District 4, and we'll ship them right on back to you. All right, we got a motion by Cos, second by myself. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Motion carries.
Now, I don't, Greg, do you have the complete list of everybody that we have appointed to that committee, or do you need some research on that?
I will need some research on that.
Okay. Well, I can tell you right now that we have the mayor, which is going to be coming up next. Mayor Truly is on the committee. Tim Taylor is on the committee.
Yeah.
Lafayette Wells, of course, is on the committee. From District 4, we had Chip Estes on the committee. And let's see here. From the Ridgeland area in District 4, we have, name was Teresa. Let's see, Chip. Miss Teresa Kennedy is on that committee. Okay.
All right.
I'll be getting you telephone numbers and addresses of everybody so we can notify them of the meeting that I intend for us to have. Once we discuss it with the mayor and the other 2 elected officials from Canton, Paul and myself, we can try to get a meeting set up, and hopefully it will be set up for one day next week.
Next week, okay.
This is a short week, so we may as well. Dr. Truly, are you available next week?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wales? Okay, well, probably, Tuesday?
Tuesday, what time?
Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, 5 o'clock?
You said it, we'll be there.
See that?
Where you want to meet at?
We can meet in our conference room here.
All right. Tuesday, 5 o'clock, Watershed Committee.
Watershed Committee. Okay.
And that'll be
Banks, who's
the
gonna-
13th.
I will ask NRCS people, at least somebody to come to the meeting.
Tuesday, 5 o'clock. That's
Right.
next Tuesday, which would be the 13th.
All
Ms.
right.
Banks, who's gonna, get in touch with the other 2 or 3 members that are not here?
I'm gonna get
Greg.
that information to Greg and
Greg
let him
will?
get in
Okay.
touch with him. Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along. I hope we done answered most of the Mayor Canton question, but we got him on the agenda next. Come right on up, Honorable Mayor William Trudell Canton.
Thank you.
All right,
Good morning.
morning.
I'm going to ask the Canton family if they'll join me. Today, we have Alderman Taylor, Alderman Wells, we have my city administrator, the municipal clerk, and our city attorney standing there, Ms. Kim Banks, if you would join us.
She's not standing, she's sitting. Now she's standing.
Oh, I'm quite sure all of them have a 30-minute presentation. Just kidding, I know you guys will throw us out here.
You be here by yourself.
Right. Look, I want to say to Attorney Mike Espy, I'm glad you cleared up where the money is because they said I have the money. But look, I assure you that the city of Canton does not have the $23 million in this vault anywhere, so we're certainly glad that you cleared that up. Secondly, our hearts go out to the Board of Supervisors, and particularly all of the work that you've done for the city of Canton. They say you're not supposed to call out folks' names, and that's not politically correct. But I want to call your name out, Carl. Y'all throwing me out of here. For being a drum major as it relates to flooding is over the last 50 years, and a drum major for the Watershed Project, as well as Paul and all of the work and connections that you have, Mike, and you guys who voted for this watershed. We certainly want to thank you and thank all of you, and the job well done. First of all, I would like to share with you information that you already know, that we've been talking about flooding for a period of 50 years now. I think this is the best moment or the best time to mitigate and hopefully eventually eradicate the whole issue of flooding, starting with the Watershed Project. I think, Carl, you brought up a very interesting point about the Watershed Project, and that is essentially the maintenance component of it. We here in the city of Canton are essentially tired also. We recognize and realize that we are the county seat. By definition, believe it or not, we're the capital of Madison County, established in 1836, I think. And so we want flooding to disappear. And we want to partner with you. You guys are partnering with us to do whatever is necessary that we can as it relates to flooding. I'm not the expert. We have a lot of experts who are up here who know remarkably more about flooding than I do, but I want to share with the Board of Supervisors some points, and I'm quite sure that Garrett and Lafayette, as well as Ms. Amos, and you know my good friend Alderman Taylor is going to have some words to say. One of the things that we recognize that we have to do here in Canton, in which we need a lot of help, and a lot of this we can do ourselves. One, we need to identify all of the streets. Canton needs to spice up and spruce up and reconstruct its infrastructure. It really doesn't, it helps a lot when you do the reservoirs and the retention ponds, but we have to we have to rebuild our infrastructure. Number one, we have to identify all of our streets, all of the open ditches, all of the covers. We have to grade the covers. Are they clogged up? Are they not clogged up? Do they allow the flow of water? That's number one. Number two, we have to identify our stormwater drainage system. Are the pipes collapsed? Are they not collapsed? Can they take a snake, not a rattlesnake, but that little thing that Melon Garrett uses to ascertain whether the drain is open? Do we need to put a camera in? We had an extensive conversation just the other day about something the county might already be doing as it relates to the county, and that's the utilization of the GIS system, which is designed especially to identify the covers, identify the ditches, and identify the condition of the stormwater drainage systems, and take all of that information and dump it over into an arrow system so that we can have some kind of an idea as to where our problems are. How much this is going to cost, we don't know. We want the Board of Supervisors to know that this is a task that we have taken. I was talking to Darian just a few minutes ago, and I think that I don't know if Wagner is already doing something like this for the county, but the interrogative pose is, how can the county be helped with its infrastructure program? One, we want to format this. We want to put it in the form of a proposal. We need help in terms of the donation with equipment, with manpower, with technical help, financial help, and help all across the board as we go through this and try to enhance our own infrastructure, which certainly needs to be enhanced. I'm going to take a back seat right now. I'm quite sure that Mellon and Alderman Lafayette, thankfully, who are on the committee, as well as Alderman Taylor, and have them to speak to you as well.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
President. Yes, in talking with Wagner Engineering and other firms, we understand that Wagner has been tasked with the watershed, part of the watershed program, and we see no need to just branch out on our own and engage other engineerings. And we're hoping that somehow or another we can come together and couple with what you all already have partnered with Wagner on to do the same thing, so that we all are traveling the same road and not bumping heads as it relates to what the city needs. Since Wagner has came on aboard with Canton, I have talked to Mr. Warren and several others that are part of that engineering firm, and they've made it clear that they want to do everything that they can do to help us with our projects and identification of everything that's needed in order to sort of fast track what we have going on. I did hear Attorney Espy say that flooding will happen, or Mr. Banks, flooding will happen again in Canton, but we want the people to know that even though it's going to happen again, that we are moving in the right direction as it relates to eradicating the problem, as the mayor has said. So along with what the mayor is saying, we're going to need a lot of help. Hopefully we can sit down at the table. I've walked the Bachelor's Creek ditch and most of the ditches coming into Canton, and I can tell you that there are some obstructions, and there are also some unleft areas where Bachelor's Creek was once widening. The area is now narrow, just going north, and the water does travel north out of Canton before it enters to the Big Black. And most of you all know about the King Ranch area out there. That area, if we're flooding in Canton, it's flooding out there too. So something desperately needs to be done. Hopefully with NRCS help, that particular project would relieve a lot of pressure. I don't know how much site study has been done, but a lot of our water comes in from the old hospital area where the whole hospital used to be, out there on that hill crossing under 43. That's where Bachelor Creek begins, also Bear Creek. So we get a lot of water that comes in. Not that we can do anything about the water coming in but we can capture it. But one of the other things is as businesses develop in Canton, you get concrete. And quite naturally, you know, water runs off of concrete a lot faster than it does through grass and through trees. And Canton is, even though we're economically trying to grow and we got everything growing around us, we just got a lot of fast water coming into Canton. And that's what we saw with the 8-inch rain on August the 2nd. A lot of water fell right on top of Canton, and going up 55 on 16, going uphill, water was flooding in that area out there. And I know most of you all have saw it. So we just want the people to know that we're working with the county. We're not divided at all on this. We want to fix this problem as soon as possible, even though it may take a year out. But hopefully you all will hear our plea and our cry and just allow us to come alongside you all and work.
All right, Alderman Tim Taylor.
Again, good morning to all of you all. Mayor Truly and Mr. Garrett, they've pretty much covered all of the flooding situation. But I just wanted to say this today, that this was truly an educating moment for us to hear the comments from Attorney Espy. And ma'am, I don't know your name. Sheila Jones. Ms. Sheila Jones. Your statement was, you talked about a fair playing field. And that is embraced wholeheartedly when it comes to the city of Canton, and especially, I can't speak for the other aldermen, but especially coming from that representative of Ward 5. A fair playing field, and that is appreciated. And I hope we can get to that point in the future. We're looking forward to the future, because what we've always been taught, the meaning of politics is who gets what and when do they get it. The who is the people that need it. The when, we've almost put a time frame on that when and when it will happen. A statement that you made, Attorney Espy, and when you were talking about Northeast Madison County, you talked about a pocket of poverty. That same pocket exists in the city of Canton. So I know the mayor has said that we're going to need some assistance, but we need a lot of assistance. When it comes to that flooding, we hear the people's cry. We know what they're going through because we witness it and we see it. We live in the city. We live in these wards. So we know what's going on. All the people want to know, and I'm quoting Oprah Winfrey when I say this, do you see me? Do you hear me? Does what I say count? Does it mean anything? And that's what we don't want the people in Canton to lose what little hope / faith they may have. So we see the urgency from you all. I think the board and the mayor, we're also in a sense of trying to be in a hurry to get these things done, because it's this, as I indicated the last time, I stated the last time, it's the same old people being affected, but the water is coming a little bit more tremendously now. It's coming in large chunks, if I can put water in a chunk, but it's falling, and it's flooding in places it's never flooded before. And I've always been taught, if you don't take care of a matter in the beginning, whether it's small or large, it turns into a large matter. So I hope with this board and what Supervisor Banks is getting ready to do with this committee, I hope that we can truly put something in place so the people in the city of Canton don't lose that hope and truly go by that beacon light of what we'll call the City of Lights. Thank you all.
Thank you, Alderman.
Good morning. Thank again for the opportunity. And as we stand today, most of us who are officials here in the city, we are definitely, we hate to see it rain, because when it rains, the phone rings off its hook.
Yeah.
Because we know somebody's going to get flooded somewhere. And as Alderman Taylor said, and the mayor and the rest said, sometimes people seem to think that we don't care. We do care, but we just got to try to start doing more to alleviate this issue. And this last month, we had the back-to-back floods, and some people lost everything, and they lost it twice. And they think we just sitting idly by doing nothing. But we are working. We did apply for the BRIC grant this past year. We were denied, but we're going to keep applying. And the city has to go in and help clean out some of these ditches and culverts and throughout the city, because a lot of them are stopped up. And like I said, again, every time it rains, you watch the forecast, you said, well, if on it's rain, you may as well get out. So most of the aldermen, when those rain events come, we're out somewhere in the community to at least give some type of support to our constituents. And again, thank you all for having us, and let's continue to work together.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last moment, and that is, I want to say one last thing about the capital of Madison County, that being Canton. First of all, the entire county is growing. We have Amazon here. It is my understanding that other facilities tantamount to Amazon will also be here. And so we are growing, and we're doing remarkably better. The time has come now for the city of Canton to become revitalized. And what I'm talking about is the revitalization of downtown Canton, like you see in Ocean Springs, or like you might see in Oxford. We need to revitalize our downtown. We need to facade our buildings, front and back. We need to change our streets and the entire infrastructure, whether it's red bricks or green bricks, and make it aesthetic, and get with our engineer and be able to look at a before picture and an after picture as it relates to the city of Canton, because revitalization of downtown Canton is related to the economic development of the capital of the city, of the capital of Madison County. So we want to look better, do better, and be better. So I just wanted to leave that with you and put it on your hearts, because we will take all of this and format it and present it to you in the form of a proposal. Thank you so very much for having us here today, and God bless all of you.
Mike, got an attorney here wants to say a
One
word.
more comment before they leave. When Mr. Taylor talked about Oprah, do you see me? It reminded me of something I did not include in my report. Back in January of this year, when we began this effort, watershed effort, I told some of the board members, I heard a rumor that a top official from USDA came to inspect our application, but I wasn't for sure. They didn't call me, but I met the gentleman in Tunica last week. I had lunch with him. He was Secretary Tom Vilsack's Special Assistant for Diversity and Inclusion. He only has one person in the whole United States over diversity and inclusion. He goes to these hotspots. He goes to these pockets of poverty. And when that gentleman saw our application come in, he flew to Canton, got in a car with the state director of NRCS. They walked Bachelor Creek, and they walked our project, and they had the Wagner engineering study in their hand. I didn't know it, heard a rumor. I told Mr. Steen, heard a rumor. It was confirmed. I had lunch with him. And he said, yeah, that was me. So that's why we got funding so early. So when you say, do we see you? We see you. We see you. So it takes a long time to do these things. We have to do it because if we do it wrong, we have to get the money back. And frankly, the money is sitting there, and we're going to do the work. But you know, I'm sorry, they pay for it, but we reimburse them. Okay. So if the work's not done right, you know, we lose our money. So that's why we have to comply with federal rules. So the top official from Secretary Tom Vilsack came to Canton and looked at it in January. So we're going to get it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
All right, City of Canton, I just want to say thank for y'all coming up. Your constituent, that is our constituent, they got to realize the city of Canton don't have the money to fix that flood. Madison County don't have the money to fix the flooding. They got to realize this money got to come from the state or the federal government. We just don't have money laying around. And when we get their money, like Attorney said, we got to do it their way. And we going forward doing it their way. Thank y'all for coming.
And thank you for having us.
All right.
Okay, and put on your calendar, next Tuesday, 5 o'clock, Watershed Committee meeting in our conference room right here on this floor. You got that, Tim?
Well, I didn't hear what you said.
Next Tuesday, 5 o'clock, conference room.
5 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, good to see you.
All right. We're going to move right along. Keith O'Keefe and Betty Vogt. Vogt, all right.
Keith, is this something that y'all, I know you mentioned that the executive session, is this something that y'all wish to
Great
go?
if we could do that. If we can't, we can't.
Well, I think I talked with Mr. Espy, and it has something to do with economic development.
It does.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out. We don't have to. I'm just gonna leave it up to y'all if y'all want to go in the executive session or not.
Yeah, it's really up to your pleasure, because
All right,
it's
we'll
your
do it
time that's
executive
valuable.
session. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move right on along to our circuit clerk, Anita Ray. Are you here?
She messaged me a few minutes ago asking that her item be tabled until the next meeting if necessary.
Consider
So,
it
pull it.
table.
That speeds up some things.
Our purchase clerk, Keisha Jackson. What we buying?
We're gonna buy a whole bunch of stuff.
Asphalt.
Turn bids,
We ain't buying nothing yet, huh?
a whole bunch
All
of
right,
stuff.
good morning, Mr. President and board members. I present to you item number 47, award our construction service term bids. Attached, if you will see on your iPads, attached are copies of recently opened construction service term bids and spreadsheet for tabulation at Camp, APAC, Mississippi, AJ Construction, and Dickerson and Bowman submitted electronic and sealed bids to indicate that they were interested in bidding on the construction service term bids for the period beginning October 1, 2022 through September 30th, 2023. I recommend that the board take the following actions. A, to acknowledge all bids received.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion by myself, second by Carl. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Move
B.
right along.
B, I ask that the board award the construction service term bids presented.
To who? I'm not looking at it.
Presented,
The-
to,
To award the construction service term bids that's listed.
Oh, okay, I'll move.
Motion by Carl. Is that second? Second by Sheila. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
All right.
Okay, I bring your attention to item number 48.
48.
Award the commodity term bids. Attach are copies of recently opened commodity term bids and spreadsheet tabulations. I recommend that the board take the following actions. A, to acknowledge all bids received.
The motion by Carl.
Yep.
Second by Trey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, the letter B, I ask that the board reject long gravel bid and authorize to re-advertise a gravel term bid. We only had one vendor that bid it, and it wasn't, it didn't qualify.
Make a
And so
motion
I'm
to
asking
reject.
that we re-advertise it.
Second motion to reject.
All right, got a motion by Gerald, second by Carl. Greg, you had anything to say?
I was just going to confirm that the bid was a bit higher than we were expecting, and so the motion to reject and re-advertise, I believe, is in order.
so it qualified, it was just higher than we
Correct.
anticipated,
It was
so it
higher than-
qualified.
I don't believe it didn't.
It didn't
Oh, that's right,
qualify.
it's the one, I'm sorry, it was, it substituted non-substitutable goods. It did not qualify.
Right.
Okay.
That was my mistake. She was
Okay.
correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and I ask the board to award the commodity term bids presented.
Motion on the award.
Motion by Carl. Is there a second? I second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
That's it?
Before you go, I didn't quite understand that last question. That's the reason I didn't say anything. I'm looking at the contract, you know, and the asphalt contracts, and I guess what you just asked and what this board just passed was we awarded AdCamp for type 8 asphalt
You on construction or the commodity?
on the construction.
Yes, sir.
And it's $123.5. What are we currently paying for that?
Ooh, I don't have,
Just approximately. You have,
I don't know right off the top.
okay,
Do you
that's
remember,
fine. I just know it went up. I just didn't know how much it went
Panisse,
I
up.
wanna
Do you
say it
remember?
might be $88.
Yeah.
Do you remember what,
Yeah, it's upper 80s.
the haul and lay down was for Ed Camp that's now? Do you remember the amount? You don't? I don't
So-
have my iPad, but I can
what
get back
you-
with you with that
Yeah, if you
information.
would, just for information. So what
Yes,
the
sir.
board approved is what you have highlighted on our tab.
Tab, yes,
Is that
sir.
what you're asking us to prove
Yes.
instead of going over by name saying I approve AdCamp or approve AJ Construction?
Approve the amounts that the
Yeah, I
vendor
just want to make sure
presented.
we got the right companies and the right amount because we didn't necessarily go through that, but it's the ones that's highlighted.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
The price went up real big.
And I appreciate you putting this on the agenda as well, where we could see the different bids from the different companies. That was very helpful.
Just as a general principle, prices for asphalt went up about 30%.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, we got, Mr. Jones.
Good morning, Board President and
Emergency
Board.
Management Director.
If I could, can I take item 49 and 50 together to approve and sign?
Yeah,
All right.
it should be. And I move to approve.
Motion by Carl, second by Sheila. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And item 51, I hit all the key points in regards to our ESN and where we are from my office to the sheriff's department to getting Gluckstadt up and going. And the process is, you know, I'm not gonna try to bore you about them, I'm just gonna hit all the key points. An ESN is a specific series of numbers that is used within the 911 system to route incoming 911 calls. When 911 calls are received, it is routed through the 911 net specific to the designated ESN. The fire department in which is assigned to the responding and the ambulance service in which is designated for the specific areas. Creating and implementing a new ESN is made up of several different components, in which is usually created when a new legal district, such as a new fire response district or a new formed municipality is created. Upon request of a new ESN, and after the proper paperwork is completed, such as approving legal and response boundaries, for example, the governing 911 authorities, E911, must make a request through the 911 net, which was done by my department, to set up a new ESN. Several pieces of information will be requested at that time for the 911 net provider. Once the provider has created and assigned a new ESN, they must add it to the requesting county's profile, in which all of that has already taken place. All right. Once that step in the process is completed, the E911 authority will have to collect the geographical information included in the new ESN. This includes road ranges of the roads and individual addresses. Sometimes this will require creating boundary jurisdiction address points on specific roads where the new ESN does not take in the entire road. Once that information is extracted, it has to be entered into the 911 net system as a requested change. It also has to be changed in the internal records kept by the local E911 authority. This could include hundreds of roads and ranges and thousands of addresses. And once again, all that is done by our department. We have already completed that. After this step is completed, the information is passed along through the PSAP. At that point, they have to prepare their own standalone records system, or CAD, which is not integrated with E911 internal system. In order to update their current information with the new ESN info, CAD unlike the 911 net, generates a record of each individual address. Sometimes an address may be filed in municipal phone numbers, such as schools or a large business, thus creating multiple entries per address. Many times the PSAP will have to be added to change any individual addresses that encompass, and the CAD writer can write a script to extract the existing data from the inputting parameter. Throughout the process of this information being changed in the system, test calls were made, in which, again, on our behalf, Jennifer, as well as Wayne, that's over the sheriff's department, they've been going back and forth trying to get the calls together to make sure everything is gelled together. But at that point, we having a difference with the profile that comes from the E911 net, in which the number is not correct. But they in the process of working it out. And the closest meeting date that I could get with Miss Jennifer Downs, which represents AT&T, E911 net, she's coming to my office today. So I will give another update if it's not completed before the next board meeting. But we're in the process now. We like 98% complete with Glustat. We're getting the ESN number changed. The only thing that's holding us is the change. It's the numbers are not gelling. So everything on our behalf has been done on the sheriff's department, which is putting the information into their CAD, and it's just one thing coming back that has a number that's out of place. But like I said again, 98% of it is done. Right. So that's where we are with the ESN process.
Albert, I appreciate you coming in today, and I appreciate all your hard work on this. The process as we sit now, Gluckstadt has a number. The calls will go to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff will dispatch the police officers. Is that?
That's the way it works. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Albert, before you go, our neighbor, Hines County, Jackson.
Yeah.
They've been having serious issues with water. And I just want to know, have you made any contact with Hines or Jackson or seeing how could we be in assistance?
Yeah, I did. I spoke with the EMA director, and I told him whatever he needed that, on behalf of Emergency Management Madison County, we would help them in whatever capacity that we could. So he's going to get back with me. And like I said, we've been talking, like I said, now the last couple of days. So whatever he needs, he's going to reach out to me, and we're going to assist him with whatever he needs.
Mike, what could we do legally if we wanted to give out water, give out whatever else they need?
Thank you. Mr. Griffin asked me to call the Hines County president of the board to see if they needed anything, if they needed assistance, and I did that. And he referred me to the EMS director, EMA director. So I didn't call him myself, but I was involved yesterday in a call between FEMA and MEMA. At these calls, and I just happened to be on the call yesterday. And they were meeting with 30 other agencies, some churches, some nonprofits, some governmental agencies, and everybody was talking about what they could do, how long this disaster would last, how long people needed potable and non-potable water, who had what in inventory, who needed storage, and so forth. And I sent an email yesterday to some supervisors about it. So based on my memory, as of yesterday, the O.B. Curtis water system is coming back up to par, but the water still is not drinkable. So they were saying it's going to be another month where they still need water. So they need water, they need water distribution, they need somewhere to store the water. They need a box truck to take water from the storage facility to the distribution sites. So based on what I heard yesterday, and then they made these assignments. And then after I got off the call, I informed the supervisors, that's what I heard. So they need potable water, non-potable water. They need buckets where the people can go to the distribution site and have a jug big enough to get non-potable water so they can go home and shower. So water, buckets, inventory, somewhere to keep all this water that's coming in from across the nation, a box truck, and then I looked up the statute yesterday that allows this county to assist neighboring counties in situations of health and safety. And so that waives all the donation stuff. So we can do it if we care to do it. So
Okay. I guess, while we at this meeting, we're looking to maybe authorize Albert and Greg, to work with Hines County, and what they decide that they need, we give them the authority to go ahead and help them.
I second that motion.
Oh, you may say the motion, huh?
Yeah, I second that motion.
Ronnie wasn't writing though. He don't have that motion to say it again.
Well, Ronnie didn't have to. Cynthia was.
And I'm pretty
President,
sure.
I would,
I'm sorry.
Go
Was
ahead,
that a
bro.
motion?
It was a motion, but it needs refining.
Yeah, need reviving, yeah.
I'm just trying to understand it. I just want to make sure I understand the
I want to
motion.
ask a question.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it.
And we've been hearing all about, we know what's going on in Jackson, and basically, I'm all for helping a neighboring county and city, especially one that I spent my formative years in since I grew up in Midtown Jackson. But my question right now has to do with water systems. Does any of that O.B. Curtis water system have anything to do with Ridgeland's water? Or is they all on well?
It's all on the well, except for a few hotels on the County Line Road that's within the city of Ridgeland. But no, it does not
Does not
have
affect.
anything to do with the Ridgeland
I want
water.
to make sure, because we've been hearing about Jackson, and I know how close, Ridgeland is.
And we did check on that.
It's not.
It's not.
Right.
Okay, good,
Yes, sir.
good, good. Okay then.
What was the
Jeff, go
motion?
ahead.
What was the motion?
Since Ronnie wasn't writing, was you writing, Cynthia?
I was.
All right.
Authorize Albert and Greg to work with Hines County to provide the services due to the water issues there.
Okay, and I think that I think part of it was go ahead and help, but I would like to include Mike in on that motion as well.
Yeah, might as well.
If you don't mind it,
Yeah.
and then that way, whatever we do, and then just email the board saying this is what's needed.
Yeah.
And just kind of communicate with us. But if you don't mind it, just
Yeah.
put Mike in on the email
That's-
as well.
You got it, Cynthia, that's my
In other
motion.
words, email us, let us know before you go, so we can.
That's right.
Don't
We
worry
can
about
know.
it.
Yes, sir, I
Hey,
will.
That's good, go for it.
All right,
Okay.
I made the motion, second by Carl. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And I just want to give y'all a
Anything else,
quick,
Al?
yeah, just give y'all a quick update. We did, and y'all may receive calls too because I'm getting them. The way this flood works, and I did everything I could up under emergency management that represent Madison County to go out and aid every person in Canton that was out in the rural with Red Cross by doing damage assessment. So we did. It's a lot of people that's unhappy, but like I told them, that's not my call. My call is to go out and do the damage assessment and then report it. So, y'all may get complaints or calls about that, but that's not on our behalf. That's pretty much Red Cross deal with what they do. And I also told them they won't know anything from FEMA nor MEMA until or if we meet a threshold. So, don't get all upset because you think, hey, the county ain't doing nothing for you, but it's in steps. I got to do it, send it up chain, and so that's what we are.
You and I discussed this last week about the $250,000.
Yes, sir.
Is what we did today, is that putting us in line with being able to get that little.
It does. I talked to Dr.
For the city of
Wiggins.
Canton.
I talked to Dr. Wiggins on their behalf of the watershed,
Yeah.
and he hasn't emailed me back yet. But that goes along with the watershed process, so it does.
Okay.
And I'll give you an official word once he give me an email back. But he sent it to Congress Thompson them and up the chain to his department because it comes through him. So I'm just waiting to get an official letter from him.
Okay.
Well, official email rather.
Mr. President, just kind of clarify a little bit. I don't think there's any hotels or anything in the city of Ridgeland that, the city of Ridgeland serves everything, hotels and all, even on County Line Road, serves them with water.
Yeah,
So it's not any of the Jackson water at all?
No,
that's
sir.
serving?
Not to my knowledge, it's not.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you, Albert.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We're gonna move right along with Tim, my county engineer.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
First item I have for you is a request for the Board to approve and the President authorize to sign the MOU or the MOA between the Mississippi Transportation Commission, which is MDOT, and us for funding of 2 bridges on Yandell Road.
Motion.
Second. Got a motion by Gerald, second by Carl. Those 2 bridges, you gonna come back with a time of when they gonna start on this bridge, right?
We are. I've got questions into MDOT right now as far as the timing. Perfect world, I would do that next summer when school is out.
Make sure you have Sheila's phone number in that list.
Yeah, it's going to be a pain, but it's a necessary evil on this. Those 2 bridges they're not wide enough and they're in rough shape underneath.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
All right, next item I have is the board's permission, or request the board's permission to subcontract or allow Fordyce Construction to subcontract with Hope Enterprises, Atwood Fence, Franklin Paving, Lane Line LLC, and Traffic Control Products for State Aid Bridge on Heindel Road.
Move. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next item I have is the final plat of Sawyer Ridge. This is a 19.91 acre development with 7 lots. We do have the letter of credit.
Motion. Motion by Trey, second by Sheila. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, next item I have is the final plat of the Highlands Phase 2. This is a private development. It's 80.98 acres, 6 lots, and there's no public infrastructure associated with it.
Motion. Motion by Trey, second by Sheila. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next item I have is a request to modify the subdivision regulations. The request that we would like to add would be section 203.04, which states major facilities associated with public and privately owned utilities, including but not limited to electrical substations, telephone communication centers, microwave towers, cell phone towers, natural gas facilities, water wells, and similar significant uses. We would like to exempt them from having to file a plat, because at this time, even if the Water Association wants to put a well on a site, if that particular piece of property is subdivided more than once in a 12-month period, then a plat has to be filed.
All right. That motion?
I move.
Motion by Carl,
Second.
second by Gerald. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Motion carried.
I've got one additional one, if you could
All right.
bear with me on this. On June the 6th, the board approved an MOU with MMEIA to relocate the 30-inch water line in support of Reunion 2. Well, that was a document that was provided by MMEIA, and after we approved it, they came back and said, well, we got this statement of us wanting to be an additional insured on the contract with Hemphill. So we're bringing that MOU back before you with that additional statement added.
Make a motion for approval.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right, motion by Gerald, second by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Tim, I get a lot of calls, and I think some of these sinkholes are created by utility contractors boring, hitting boxes and whatnot. Who watches them
when they're out there boring on the roads and sidewalks?
We don't have anybody assigned just to monitor boring crews.
Is that something that we could charge a permit fee for to finance a full-time inspector? I'm sure it's.
I don't know. I don't know how our franchise fee works, but I do know that Rankin County does, and they charge their utility companies, and they have an employee that monitors them.
I think we're fixing a lot of stuff that they're creating. And if we could find a way to help them bear some of the load, I think that would be a good plan. Could you and Greg get together and see if you could figure, and Mike, see if you can figure something out to
Sure.
help take the load off the county?
And just to go through, when we do find one that there's a conduit or whatever through, we find out whose it is, and then we fix it and send them a bill for it.
Because I mean, I've gotten emails this morning about that type of situation. It goes on a good bit, District 2.
Okay. I only know of one, so I'll get with you after this, make sure it's the same address.
Okay.
Hold up before you go, Tim.
Okay.
Then we, a few meetings ago, authorized Mike and you, Tim, to kind of look at our permits, going with things going in our right of way. I believe so.
I don't remember that either.
Maybe.
This came up before about, because I one brought it up about who is making sure that when utility goes down, they are putting the people right away or our right away back into a good position. So I agree with you, Trey, but I thought we brought it up a few months ago, and you all probably been looking into it. But moving right along, next thing.
I'm done.
I think though, what we just asked them to do in coming up with some type of permitting situation, which will get the utilities' attention when they gotta write a check to start putting stuff in our right of way. Mike, and then we can have somebody watching that. I think that'll solve what you're talking about as well as what Trey's talking about.
Right. Yeah.
So I would think that you were saying that they got that going on in Rankin County, which gives you somebody you can pull, you can look at theirs, and we can fashion something similar to make sure that we protect our right of way.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Over on King Ranch Road, right around in the deep curve when you pass Handle Road, that bridge over there. What are we got planned for that bridge?
Contractor should be out there today.
Oh, they should?
Yes, sir. We're fixing that right now.
All right.
That was the right answer.
I know.
You're right.
So
So
now
now
Johnny
you
on
can
the
sit
spot
down.
on that one. Wish I could do that every time for you.
Good answer. All right. If there's nothing else, be Scott Weeks.
Mr. President, good morning, Board of Supervisors.
Good morning.
First thing I have is acknowledge the draft minutes for planning and zoning, August 8, 2022.
Motion by Carl, second by Trey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Next item is the Madison Gulf. This was a conditional use for a public, quasi-public facility and utility. It's a cell tower. Site plan included. This was located on Catlett Road.
Motion by
Properties-
Carl,
Move it.
second by Trey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
The next item I have is inspection fee discussion with our building inspectors.
Need to increase.
Well, that's what I'm requesting. It's been approximately 28 years since we've had an increase in those fees. It's always been $45, $60 for mobile homes, $45 for the home inspections, foundation, plumbing, roofing, and based on what I've found, that roughly it falls in, it should be roughly in about the $75 range.
So we've
I
got
agree.
you're suggesting in this that it'd be $75 for the inspection.
Right.
Yes, we have like 6 inspections on a home and 1 for a mobile home. So the mobile home would be increased by $15, and the home inspections or the commercial whatnot that are related to the other inspections would increase by $30.
$30. Times 6. You have 6 inspections?
Yes.
Okay, so it's $180 more to the cost of an already high Madison County house, but well, it's $180 between friends. I move that we accept this request and increase the inspection fee to $75 each.
All right, I might even have a secondary motion.
Yeah, you might have.
Unless you want to change your motion.
No, I don't want to change. I want you to change.
I didn't hear a second anyway.
Yeah, there was no second.
Well, I'm gonna go a different route there. I'm looking to increase that 75 to $90.
Man, you feeling white out.
And if they got to go back out there, the re-inspection, it'll be 75, and leave the mobile homes as Scott requested.
75.
Scott,
Now, you know, because what Scott is saying that we have 6 inspections. I mean, when you saying going back out there, they go 6 times.
No, what I mean by going back out there is they go out there and something fail. You see what I'm saying, Scott?
Would you increase that to $90
No,
then?
it'll be 70.
70.
Yeah, if they go out there and they don't have the electricity there, or they got it wrong, and they tell them if the inspector tell them it's wrong, and then the inspector had to come back out there and inspect the same power source. That would what I'm talking about be $75.
Scott, do you have any kind of framework that for this fee? I mean, any kind of basis for making the department self-sustaining, and where did the number come from?
I mean, I check with municipalities and everything. Most everybody has in-house. No one has contract workers. But if you put that in perspective, that's probably what they're getting paid is 75 to roughly, you know, even on re-inspections is over $100 sometimes.
Are you talking about within Madison County? You check with the municipalities within Madison County?
I checked with one in Madison County, but I checked with some in Rankin County. I checked with a couple of departments up north like DeSoto County.
And actually the homeowner would be paying this?
Yes.
The homeowner, not the builder?
Well, though, it depends on who takes out the permit. Yes. they would
Usually
be
it's the
paying.
builder then?
Yes.
Well,
The builder's gonna build
Yeah,
that
they gonna
into
build
the
it.
price. I mean, eventually, the homeowner always the person that pays. It's always the homeowner.
Carl, is your motion still on the table?
I like my motion.
All right, I mean, it sounds like we're gonna raise it either way, and to keep it the lowest possible, I'll second Carl's motion. That's the 75 throughout the process?
Yes.
All right. I guess my motion failed for like a second first. Got me, mine failed for like a second. I tried.
It sounds that way.
Now we got the primary motion back.
What effective date are you looking if this motion passes?
I assume as soon as the board minutes are approved at the next meeting.
I would probably consider moving it on down the road just a little bit, you know, whether it's a couple of months or something of that nature.
I would say, I would say October 1st.
Yeah, sound like a good time. That's 30 days.
Well, it's beginning of our fiscal, so October 1st.
Because I would give them, because the builders, I'd just give them a little time, actually.
Give some notice time to the builders.
So is October 1st adequate?
November 1.
November 1 sounds
I mean,
good.
What's in your motion, Carl?
Based on y'all's on the next item on the agenda, I think, assuming that it passes, that has an effective date of November the 1st.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
might be a good thing to just kind of combine those two and make both of those
November 1st.
effective November the 1st.
Makes sense to me.
Assuming that the next one passes. I just had that thought while I was sitting there.
Good, man.
That's your motion, Carl?
Yeah, November 1st.
November 1st.
And
All
the
right.
same thing to what Trey just said, too.
Yeah. Got a motion by Carl, second by Trey. Before I carry that, I do want to ask this question. I don't know whether it be after this or what. On what the inspectors inspect when they go out there. Have you looked at that lately, Scott, to see what they're inspecting? Do we need to increase some things or what they're inspecting to say the same?
I mean, that's based off what, any home inspection under the International Building Code or anything like that, International Residential Code. That's a procedure you go through and what's inspected. We actually increased it to include erosion control a couple of years ago to add that to it, but nothing else on the inspections of a residential structure.
Scott, also, why would the inspection of a mobile home be different than a house? Is it more work to inspect a house than it is a mobile home? Is that the reason the price difference?
No, sir, the inspection on mobile home is one inspection.
Well, that's the reason I'm asking, what's the difference? Why would there be a difference?
That pricing was set in there back in the 90s, and that was just a one inspection. They didn't go out there multiple times. I couldn't answer as the
Would
reason
y'all
why they put
consider
60.
just putting them all the same?
Put them going back out there 6 times?
I think that's what we just did.
No, the mobile home is just one time.
Yep.
And
But they don't have anything to inspect but the hookup. Because the mobile homes inspected in the manufacturing thereof.
Well, that's
We're inspecting the hookup. Is that correct? You're not actually going out and saying whether or not the mobile homes walls are straight or any of that. You're going out just make sure it was hooked up properly. That's an electrical inspection pretty much.
That's what I was asking, and
They're looking at multiple things when they go out there, looking at this tied down properly.
Yeah.
The setbacks are met, and the electrical is correct. So they don't have to go out there multiple times like on a residential structure.
I understand that, but why wouldn't you just say the same thing at
$75
$75?
to 60.
Yeah.
I thought that's what we did.
No.
That was the motion.
It was.
Yeah, that's what the motion was.
One inspection.
Just one inspection for $75.
Yes.
$75.
Okay.
Because mobile homes are relatively easy to do considering the
Gotcha.
residential structure.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was the motion though. All inspection went to $75, period.
We probably done totally confused Scott and Cynthia. Let's make sure they got the motion right.
Okay, go ahead with the motion. Which one, John? This motion?
See that? I figured we had total confusion. Cynthia got it.
What was the motion?
I was talking to the attorney.
Oh, okay. Well,
Accept the request from the planning and zoning. Is that, we're talking about that motion?
Accept the request from planning and zoning to.
Director to
set-
increase the fees to $75 for regular home inspections, which is a $30 increase. And I don't know what the mobile home is, but increase it for $15. Same
$75,
price.
which was a
From 60.
$15
Increase
increase.
it for $15 increase for the mobile homes.
Yeah.
That's the reason I brought it back up right
Inspections.
there. We got it.
Effective 11/1/22.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. What else, Scott?
Next item is a resolution regarding manufactured home delivery without appropriate permit and imposing a fine for such delivery. Mr.
Motion.
Clark will speak on this.
All in favor?
Aye. Good
All right, we
job,
don't need
attorney.
you, lawyer.
Good job, attorney.
That was easy.
All right. Next is our attorney.
All right, I'll be just as quick. 61, 62, and 63. 61, the board will recall that you asked me to work with the library lawyer to resolve the situation. We've done that. So 61 are all of the standalone contracts from City of Madison, City of Ridgeland, City of Canton, City of Flora, standalone contracts between them and the library system. They've all been signed. So I would like you to acknowledge the contracts and do one more thing. The standalone contract of the city of Ridgeland has a block for the board president to sign. I think that's appropriate because the statute says this is a city-county library system.
Right.
I think that Mr. Griffin should sign all of them,
I believe I did.
the other three. So we have a true participatory system. So I'd like your motion to be to acknowledge the 4 contracts that are attached and ask the Chancellor Clerk to affix a signature box for the board president to approve the contracts.
Move what you
Motion by
say.
Carr, second by Gerald.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
And then
carried.
62 is the library contract between you and the library system. There's no changes. You've been doing this for years.
Is there another
So I
motion?
approve, ask you to approve that contract as well.
Move to approve.
Motion by Carr.
Second.
Who did that second?
Gerald?
Yeah.
Second by Gerald.
And
All in favor?
And
All
6,
opposed? Motion carried.
6.3 is the nursing home issue. The nursing home board met. They agreed with our recommendation that they would give us control over the remaining monies in the account for the walking trail. If any money's left over, they'll be for a lighting system. So they approved that, and we want to acknowledge their resolution.
Move.
Motion acknowledged by Carr, second by Sheila. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Greg, County
Morning.
Administrator.
Got a couple of things for you. The first is item 64 and 65. I'd like to consider those together. Those relate to a wastewater project in the Kearney Park area. We applied for a CDBG grant through Central Mississippi Planning and Development District. That grant was rejected. Instead of that, there is a state grant out there, the County and Municipal Wastewater Grant, where they will match ARPA money 1-to-1. We have $2.5 million set aside for wastewater. This project is an $850,000 project. We can do it for $425,000, assuming we get this grant. The turnaround on this grant is extraordinarily short. The portal closes September 30th. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to get it turned around in time. I think I will because most of the engineering work was done for the CDBG grant. But I certainly can't start unless unless you approve this resolution of intent to apply and authorize us to advertise for engineering services.
Now, why aren't we using the whole $2.5 million to apply for dollar-to-dollar match?
I don't have $2.5 million worth of projects. I'm sure we can find them.
That
but
would be the wastewater and sewer?
yes, sir, the Kearney Park.
That's what we needed for West Madison over. And I thought that was like a $7 million revamp over there or something.
That may be the total. I defer to
I'd
your
like to make a
expertise
motion
there.
we go ahead and hire Wagner Engineering because they've already been working over there on that. And this project here, they can get that application in a timely enough fashion. We wait on trying to hire somebody or get proposals from the engineering company. The deadline is going to be over. Right now, we've got 24 more days.
CMPDD has indicated we have to advertise. I took them at their word and did not perhaps do adequate research, but that they tell us we have to advertise or do the RFP to comply with the grant requirements. It's a state grant issue, not an us issue. That we have to put it out there to procure the services and advertise the RFP.
Mike?
I don't know that this matters, but I was told that we didn't get it because we didn't have the right match. Everybody else had a 50-50 match. We had a 90-10 match. And that's why we didn't get it.
And I think we were trying to see if we could go ahead and increase the match. At the same time, it's my understanding that that there is some, if we planned on matching with some opera funds, like $1.5 million, $2 million, that we can get, you know,
You can use ARPA funds for
yeah,
this.
yeah.
You can do it.
And then we got a chance then to get, you know, if we increase to a 50-50 match, and it's my understanding we can get it. Now, you're saying what we're discussing now basically is whether or not we can just hire an engineer, and you're saying we have to advertise. How many days is that advertising have to go?
You got to run it twice, and it's supposed to run 15 days.
Yeah, we out of it.
It will be very tight, and there's a way to get it done. This board will meet again, hopefully, if y'all, Lord willing, on the 30th of September. There's a way to get this done, and it's primarily using the engineering work that has already been done.
Yeah.
I don't feel right doing that without some type of compensation for the group that prepared it, which I believe we can work out between now and the 30th.
Greg, what are you asking for?
I'm asking for for you to approve this resolution of intent to apply and to advertise for an RFP for engineering services related to this.
For how much money?
The RFP, or the project itself, was originally cost $850.
Okay, so you're asking for $425.
Yes, sir.
That's what you're asking.
Yes, sir, along with this
That
resolution.
project, what you're asking for us will get us what?
$850.
If we get matching funds from the state.
If we get it, what are we gonna do with the money?
It is repairing sewer pipe around the Kearney Park to Beatty Bluff area.
Yeah.
Putting liner in.
I believe that was part of it, yes, sir, and running a camera through it to see where it is and is not functional.
If it's gonna get to Beatty's Bluff, it's gonna be more than just putting liner in, it's putting down pipe, because it doesn't, West Madison is only right now trying to go into that lagoon that West Madison has, which of course, they came to us to try to help them in fixing the lagoon.
Uh-huh.
And there was, when we looked at doing away with the lagoon and trying to get them all the way to Beatty's Bluff. There's also been some issues about getting them monies to fix all of their pipes so they won't be paying for fixing or cleaning rainwater. So
I think what you're asking us to do is just give you approval.
Yeah.
And I think with wastewater authority board coming in, then we can set the number and the dollar mark at that point. So what you're asking now is just to approve. You're not asking for a dollar amount.
I'm not.
For approval.
Yeah, let's approve.
You got a motion on approval?
I got a motion on approval.
Motion's by Carl.
I'll second that motion until, I'll second it.
Just second the motion. We'll set the amount.
We can get the dollar amount. We just got to get rolling is all.
'Cause we got to get an engineer first.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
All right,
What else, Greg?
item 66 is declare vehicle surplus and authorize transfer to the city of Gluckstadt. As of June 6th, you, as a board, authorized some vehicles at the sheriff's office to be declared surplus, but the sheriff had to replace them first. The sheriff has since replaced those vehicles and now has declared, or would like you to declare them surplus. The city of Gluckstadt came in, picked out the 4 they wanted, and I would like you all to authorize the transfer.
Move.
Motion.
Motion by,
There is one other bit of information here, if y'all will bear with me
by
very
Drake,
temporarily.
second by Carl, now discussion.
Okay, the issue is going to be twofold. Number one, according to the statute, if we're going to transfer it without fair value, it has to be declared to be in the best interest of the taxpayers. So the motion would need to reflect that it is in the best interest of the taxpayers to transfer this property to the city of Gluckstadt.
That's what I
Got
said.
that, Sheila?
That's
from-
what I heard, but I just wanted to make sure that Ronnie heard
The
it.
amount.
Not Sheila,
And
Be something.
the amount, my suggestion would be a nominal fee. It can be whatever you want it to be, but we can transfer it below fair market value. On June 1st of 2020, we transferred 4 vehicles to the city of Canton, 2 to the PD, 2 to the fire department, for their continued participation in the E911 system as the consideration. We can do that here, or we can set a nominal fee, $10, $100, whatever you would like there.
$100.
$100.
That's in that motion, Cynthia.
The best interest, it is in the best interest to transfer it to the city for $100 apiece.
All in favor?
Is that good? Is that good enough, or do we need a little bit deeper explanation on the best interest?
That's good enough.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Greg, going back to the earlier motion on the wastewater, what exactly did we approve?
You approved us to at least get the ball rolling on the grant application, as far as getting an engineer, starting the process of engineering for the project that was rejected by the Community Development Block Grant.
Well, I want to follow up a little bit on that. Can we do that legally and pay for it out of the general fund, or can we? Do we have to use different funds? That's really a legal question that I'm asking.
Is this for West Madison Utility?
Yeah.
Out of the general fund?
Well, this out of county's money, not necessarily general fund, this county's money's period.
We know you can do it under ARPA, no problem.
Yeah.
On the county money, that's heartburn. They're an independent board. So,
Yes. The intent is ARPA money, and the cost won't be terribly high.
Well, I'm just asking legally.
Okay.
At this point here, we haven't put a dollar amount on
Correct.
anything.
Yeah, but the intent is opera money, and it has always, from the day one when we got opera money, that fit West Madison fit within that. So, but at this point, the only thing that we've done is made a motion to move forward as a resolution, saying the intent is to apply. And we hadn't put a dollar figure on how much we're going to apply for yet, and we still have time to just make that decision. I'm hoping that the engineers then that will come along will also be the engineers that already did the engineering, because I know they can get the job done quicker. So we'll just see.
Well, we didn't.
I'm disappointed because I wanted to go ahead and just hire the engineers that did the work already.
So
Okay.
we didn't have, hiring an engineer wasn't part of this motion, it was just.
No, it's just putting an RFP out for engineering.
Well, I'm curious, the rest of that ARPA money, what would be the process of granting it to the wastewater board so they can go apply for a dollar for dollar match? I thought that was the intent of the $2.5 million to begin with.
I would not, personally, I would not want to go down that road, because regardless, this board is responsible for that money being spent, whether it's in our hands or we give it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It is our responsibility that
grantee,
that the paperwork is prepared properly.
Yeah.
So wherever this money goes, it really needs to stay in our hands.
For the purpose of the wastewater grant, the Madison County Wastewater Authority couldn't apply to match the ARPA funds, even if we gave them the funds. They didn't receive any. We are the listed recipient, so it would have to run through us anyway.
Yeah.
So we would go down and apply for the dollar for dollar match?
Correct.
With MDEQ?
Correct.
To expand Beatty's Bluff?
To the project we were looking at was, the project that was rejected by CDBG is just kind of cleaning up some stuff in Kearney Park. But in the event that the wastewater authority, you as a board opted to authorize the wastewater authority to expand Beatty's Bluff or whatever the case may be, it would still run through us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have to come back and address.
Yeah, that's down the
later on.
road.
Yeah, do an executive session, man.
Yeah, that's down the road. I'm not sure what they're asking for, but if that's what they were asking for, whatever they're asking for, it's still got to run through us.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Greg?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
All right. Comptroller Nassan.
Hey, good morning again.
Morning.
The first item I have is number 67, which is the approval of the budget amendments and the interfund cash transfers.
All right.
Motion for approval.
Motion by Gerald, second by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
The next item, 68 through 71, is the approval of the general claims docket and 3 payroll dockets.
Motion.
Motion by Trey, second by Sheila. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Gerald, take that.
Item 72, approval for wedding reports.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Jones.
Boom.
Second by Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Okay. And the last item is number 73, which is the approval of the Fleet Corps claim docket.
Motion by Carl, second by Trey. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Okay.
All right.
Nothing, Mr. President.
Ronnie Lott, all right. High Sheriff, Chief Sheriff.
Members of the board, Mr. President, I'm about to hand to your clerk the meal log for August of 2022 for the Madison County Detention Center. I'd just like a motion to acknowledge it.
Motion by Carl, not Carl, Trey, second by Sheila. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Old business.
Oh, I got some new business.
Any?
I got a little new business. Anybody got?
All right, we gonna go to the,
I got some new business. There's a vacancy on the Central Planning Board, CMPDD, and I had wanted to make an appointment of Phil Buffington to the CMPDD board that, I think Dan Hart was on there.
yeah.
So that'd
Is
be
Mr.
my
Hart
motion.
still on there?
Yeah, Dan's still on there.
It's showing vacant.
No, he was at the last
Yeah.
meeting too, I know.
Yeah, you talk to him. I talked to him. That's just.
I don't have a problem with Mr. Buffington by any means, but,
We checked with Central Planning.
Or is this term up?
I don't know.
Cynthia, can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll find out, but I thought it ran with the board's term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll find out.
Did it run up at the last, because they're telling us that there's a vacancy on it. Did it run up at the last term of the board, this board, when we got reelected?
I think y'all reappointed him.
Okay. All right.
The document might not be in change. All right, that was old business.
I got some more new business. Lake Caroline's board approved 30 stop signs for the neighborhood, but engineer went out and identified 6 four-way, all-way stops that were most needed intersections. So in regards to what the Lake Caroline board voted on, as a majority, I wanted to get these 6 stop signs approved, 6 four-way, all-way stops.
All right, you say Tim have been out there, what Tim is? Okay. All right, got a motion by Trey, second by Sheila, in the discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Anything else? All right, we gonna take a 5-minute break and gonna come back and go in executive session.
You want to go do that now?
Might as well, Carl.
Do a 5-minute break.
What's that? Make a motion on going to.
Oh, I make that motion.
All right, Gerald second, close consent.
This shows Dan Hart vacant.
All in favor?
Madison County open, Dan Hart.